I can assure you he is truly a very sick boy.
I think you mean sick girl.
People who don't know you, really, who are you? Real fast.
Yeah, great question. Who am I?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, so my name is Kirsten Michelle Cills, or Kirsten or Kier, whichever you prefer. I'm a professional stand-up comic. I'm on the road a lot, but I live in Philadelphia, and I
Nice.
have a chronic and now terminal illness called cystic fibrosis that I was born with. So I've had it my whole life. So I've never lived a single day as a healthy person. But
Yeah.
a lot of my material and my kind of career revolves around my life as a very ill person. And I typically have to, not typically, but about half the year, every year, I have to wear an oxygen tank. Right now, I'm off of it.
Okay.
But also very appropriate that we're recording this today because I am so fucking sick this morning. So I
Oh
apologize.
no, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I was just
Oh,
flying. I was just doing a show in Texas and I had to be
nice.
on two flights within like 48 hours, which
Oh,
anyone with an immune system issue knows that that is like the nail in the
so
fucking
bad.
coffin. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I apologize if I keep having to blow my nose.
No, you're fine. You do whatever you need to do. Um, okay, so you're a professional stand-up. How did you get into comedy? When like
Yeah.
I mean, I as a comedian, I hate that question, so I'm sorry to ask it.
No, it's fair. Yeah. And I think it's like I feel like the pipeline of like being sick to
Yeah.
starting comedy is not a coincidence at all.
Yeah.
So I went to college for acting. And
Okay.
so like I was already always performing.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, they gave us an acting class, or they gave the acting majors a comedy class,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was just sort of a way to get us out of our comfort zone because we did
Yeah.
so much drama and screaming and crying all day long. They were
Yeah.
like, let's lighten it up for once. And I was always very, very into comedy my whole life. My mom is like the biggest comedy fan. My mom is the coolest, the funniest. She is
Yeah.
the best. And so when I was a kid, like in the car, instead of listening to music, we used to like listen to comedy CDs
That's amazing.
and she would like talk along because she knew all the words instead of like how people would like sing along to a song,
Yes.
So that was like kind of my experience from a young age. So then when we were doing a comedy class, I was like, hell yeah, like this is my I was always like a comedic actor, but never had
Yeah.
done stand up. And then we did it. We had to just do it for a final. We had to go do stand up at a bar show,
Yeah.
which is such a crazy final to do for college. And our teachers like pulled me aside after the class and were like, you should pursue this. Like you should do this
Yeah.
more. And that was in 2018. So
Wow.
like not that long after when the world shut down, it was actually
Yeah.
really nice to have a job where or to be doing something where like I was alone on stage and I wasn't around
Yes.
other people.
Yeah.
Because it was as an actor, like you have to be with face to face with each
Like
other all
super
the
close.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Which during COVID was like, oh, I'll never work again then because
Yeah.
even my friends who were like healthy enough that they could like risk it, like I was like,
Yeah.
this is a lung issue. Like I will die,
Yes. Yeah.
And so it was really cool to like it was a great tool to have during the pandemic. And then I just sort
Yeah.
of like anything just sort of fell into it. Now all of a sudden it's my full-time
Yeah.
job. I don't know how it
That's
happened.
amazing. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Okay, that so and you have cystic fibrosis, right?
I do.
Who doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Cystic fibrosis, like in short, is a disease that you are born with. It's genetic. Now they can test babies like in the womb, like you can know
Wow.
before you even have a kid if you're gonna have it. I was born in the mid 90s, so we didn't know
Yeah.
that until I was 7 years old that I had
Oh
it.
wow.
I was always sick, they just didn't know why. But
Yeah.
it's a genetic lung disease that affects mostly your lungs, but also affects your pancreas and your other organs.
Okay.
For me, it has mostly been lungs. A lot of people with CF have like some lung issues, some pancreas issues, like half and half. For me, it's my lungs are pretty. I have like maybe like a more quote unquote severe case of CF because it's mostly lungs.
Yeah.
Or at least it makes it a lot more visible with the oxygen tank that I'm sick a lot of the time. But it basically causes all of the like mucus or anything that your body create, any secretions your body creates to be like incredibly thick and sticky, so you can't clear
Okay.
it.
Oh, okay.
So when I get something small like a cold or
Yeah.
someone else has a little upper respiratory infection and they give it to me, they can clear that very easily. That's like
Yeah.
what could and will one day kill me. So
Yeah.
I have to then be hospitalized, and I'm probably in the hospital like I would say maybe 3 or 4 times a year for like 2-3 weeks at a time,
Okay.
my whole life. And
Yeah.
the only like kind of nice thing about the disease is it's really consistent.
Okay.
Like I literally said to a friend when I was in Texas a few days ago, how every year I'm in the hospital at the same times. And they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, what are they?" And one of them, I said, "Every year on April 25th, I'm in the hospital."
Yeah.
Like for the last
Like,
4 years running.
yeah.
I said, "Oh, well, it's coming up." And I was like, "Well, I feel fine." And then I wake up
Yeah.
this morning
You're
so
like,
sick. So
yes.
unsurprising. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess there's small things with chronic illness, right? Consistency, that's nice.
Yeah, right. That is the
Yeah.
only nice thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I got really sick. COVID for me activated dysautonomia. So like my nervous system doesn't function properly anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so like, I mean, it's like everything you don't think about doing, like breathing, heart, stomach, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like looking back, I'm like, I probably had it most of my life, but it didn't really get bad enough until I got COVID. But I mean, is it, and if you don't want to answer any questions, that's
Oh
fine.
no, I'm open book, I promise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, what's it like growing up with like an illness that, I mean, do they tell you as a kid that it's terminal or do they sugarcoat? Like I mean, I don't know how they tell a kid that. Is that hard?
Yeah. No, it's a really good question because it is actually a really big part of the disease is like so like I do a joke about this sometimes on stage, but
Yeah.
like a few years ago a guy came up to me and was like, asked me why I'm on oxygen, and I said I have cystic fibrosis, and he was like, "You still have that?" And I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" He was like, "Well, I thought that was a kid's disease." And like I knew what he meant, but he didn't know what he meant.
Yes.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, you only ever hear of kids who have it." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Do you want to guess why that is?" I was
Yeah.
like we're getting better. It's like we don't
Yeah.
want to get to adulthood, you know?
Yes.
And he was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so embarrassed."
So,
I was like, I get it because it's very true. Like it used to say, like, yeah, so I never used to like, I wouldn't say I explicitly was ever told by, um, actually, that's not true. I definitely had at least a few doctors who made it very clear that like I had a much different life expectancy than other people. But for the most part, it was always about like the hope of like because of treatments getting so much better. It was kind of like
yeah.
we're gonna, we're not gonna say never, all this stuff. So, which is great, but also I do. I'm sure you feel this way too. Actually, like as a sick person, like sometimes it's really refreshing when someone just talks to you like point blank, like and doesn't
Yes. Yeah.
sugarcoat. Like I respect the hell out of people who are like
Yes.
kind of almost boldly, like almost a little rude. I'm like, thank you for once someone's
Yeah.
talking to me like a regular person,
Yes.
Yeah. And so like
Yeah.
having doctors who, for the most part, were very hopeful, but like having a few who were like, this is your life, But I think the first time I realized it was when I was like a kid and we went to where are you based in the country?
I mean, I'm half the time in LA and I'm half the time in Utah.
Okay, all right. So I don't know if you know about this thing called Wawa that we have here in the Philadelphia area.
No, I don't.
Okay, it's like a I don't know, it's like a fancy convenience store, kind of like a Buc-ee's
Yeah.
or something.
Okay, cool.
And so it's a really big cultural thing here. And so it's like a thing like you go to Wawa every single day when you live to get coffee in the morning when you live around here.
Okay.
And so I would go to Wawa every day, and every month they would like raise money for a different cause. And the coffee sleeves would have some info about the cause. And one
Yeah.
month it was cystic fibrosis, and I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So I read it, and I guess I had just never really thought to look it up before,
Yeah.
And so I read the description, and the description, like on the official like website that they got it from, and the coffee cup thing said, like cystic fibrosis is a disease that affects children and young adults in America, blah blah blah. And it was my first time
Yeah.
being like children and young adults. That's an
Yeah.
interesting way to phrase that.
Yeah.
'Cause in my mind for a second, I'm like, oh, so when you become an adult, it's not as a real adult, it's not as bad. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
No. Yeah.
You don't get to that. That's it. That's the peak, baby.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that was kind of my first. I was the first time I remember standing in a room and like being conscious enough to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, one of the hard things for me, but amazing for other people with CF is like, because it's a genetic disease, they can do a lot of like genetic, like specifically, genetic therapy has gotten so much better recently.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically to have cystic fibrosis, I don't know all the science behind it, but you just have to have two of your genes have to be mutated with the
Okay.
mutation. And it can be any two genes, which can be like technically unlimited options, right? You can
Yeah.
have a mutation, but somehow over 90% of people with CF have the same two genes mutated. So
Interesting. Okay.
it's crazy what that is the case. But therefore, that's where all the research goes, as it should, if over 90%.
Yeah.
Right. I do not have that one. So
Okay.
I
So
am
like
in
most of the
the
research goes to that, but then maybe not as much goes to the other people.
correct. Like
Okay.
about 90% of the research goes to that.
Yeah.
Because, as it should. I totally get it scientifically, but as
But
of the
living
last,
it
right.
probably feels different.
Right. And as of the last maybe 10 years, there's been some like incredible new medicines that have come out. Like now, if you Google cystic fibrosis, you see all of these new meds that have been like, they are not a cure, but they essentially cure the symptoms of cystic fibrosis.
Oh,
So
wow.
while people with the disease still have it, because technically you'll have it in your genes forever, a lot of people with CF are now living with like no hospitalizations. Like they have a
Wow.
whole different life. And so that's over 90% of people with it. So that's kind of what they consider to be like what CF is now. So
Yeah.
that's been a little tough for me over the last few years because it's a lot of
Absolutely.
people coming up and being congratulate, it feels
Yeah.
like that very like always the bridesmaid kind of thing where I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
like I am not, it doesn't affect me. My life expectancy has not changed. My prognosis has not changed. Um, and it is amazing for the people who it does affect.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy for everyone. I don't ever want to seem like I'm not, but for
No,
someone who
but
does,
I get it.
yeah,
Like,
right. Someone who does not, it's tough because it's a little undercutting because a lot of people will say
yeah.
things, oh, well, it's not terminal anymore. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it is for me. I'm
Yes.
very happy for everyone else. And I remember a few weeks ago, like the CF Foundation had put out like a thing on their social media that was like, we're happy to report like the new life expectancy for CF is 55 years old, and it's like to celebrate, which was great. But they had to put out like a kind of like
Yeah.
asterisk because they got some feedback, and they were like, "Sorry, to be clear, it's 55 years old for anyone born after 2019." So it was like, and that's great. But and it's so great that that's the case for parents with small kids who have CF, which is the
Yeah.
majority of the community with it. But for those of us who that's not the case, it can be a little undercutting, and it can
For
kind
sure.
of make people not take us seriously with how sick we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So if you don't have those two specific genes, is the treatment different?
Yeah, so it's basically like up until 10 years ago, we all did the
Yeah.
same treatment.
Okay.
It's just that now they have this new special super one that is like
Okay.
kind of a magic drug, but I just don't get it. It's kind of like there's a cure
Yes.
out there, but somehow it just won't work on like 8% of us.
Okay. And what is the life expectancy if you don't take that?
Yeah, so honestly, it's so different for everyone because of
Yeah.
the fact that, like I said, some people have the pancreas issues, some people have
Yeah.
lung issues. There are people out there who truly don't even know that they have CF until even today, until they're in their
Wow.
40s or 50s because they have very little symptoms. Um, but I would say like someone like me with a more severe case and pretty depleting lung function the older I get. And like my life expectancy, I've always been told, has been like that I'll still be in my 20s. I won't make it to 30. But I recently turned 30, so I'm sort of like in my
Congrats.
sort of in my life expectancy year, which is fun. Because it's really sort of a nebulous number. It doesn't quite
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
anything. It just sort of means like anytime I get sick, like really sick, could
Yeah.
be the one I never recover from. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like eventually your antibiotics stop working because
Working.
your body has had them all so many times. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but I do like as a comic, of course,
Yeah.
like I have a pretty big following of other sick people as you do, and like
Yeah.
I get a pretty big following of people with CF. It's a lot of parents of kids with CF,
Yeah.
and so I do get I try to like be careful also what I say sometimes on
For
stage
sure.
because while I always like to clarify I'm only talking about my specific case of
Yeah.
CF because I get a lot of messages from parents who are like, this video is really funny, I love your clip, but like I'm currently holding my newborn with CF and this is like breaking my heart. And I'm like, I totally get it. I can't
Yeah.
speak for anybody else, but also your kid's gonna have a really different life than me because they're born
Yeah.
sick.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like with chronic, like being sick, especially one that you can't see all the time, I think people feel like, oh, it's not that bad. I can't see it. Like it's not, you must be
Uh-huh.
okay. But, and I also find that I feel like a lot of chronically ill people are kind of expected to always find the positive in it or be like, make
Uh-huh.
others feel better about it. And I just think people need to realize like living it is such a different experience than what you see. And we're also probably the best people at pretending to look okay
Yes.
because it's like a
Yes, so
job we
true.
have to do all the time. Um, and it's just exhausting, you know? So like
Yes.
sometimes when I'm on stage, I'm like, this is the only place where I feel like I can be like, this is how bad it is. I'm up here, I'm willing to joke about it. Like you can all laugh, but I don't want to find the positive in it today or up here. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just it's another, I don't know. I feel like I spend a lot of time making other people feel very comfortable about
Amen.
like how you are. And it's like just I get it, it makes other people uncomfortable, but it's also like that's one more thing that's exhausting that I have to
Yeah.
do today.
I think I have been writing a lot about that exactly what you just said recently about how like your whole job when you're sick is to make everyone else around you feel comfortable. And it's like when people ask me, are you like sad that you're gonna die or you're sick? I'm like, I've never even had time to think about it. I've been too busy making all of you feel better about it,
Yeah.
and like I do a joke on stage where when I explain that I'm terminally ill, because when I'm wearing the oxygen tank, my set is different than when I'm not,
Yes.
because I have to address it early. Obviously, I can't not
Yeah.
address why I'm on an oxygen tank. But when I explain it, especially when I'm not on oxygen, I look like this. I'm about to drop a bomb on them that I'm terminally ill, and they don't
Yeah.
expect that necessarily. And
Yes.
I always say, like, I have a terminal illness, I am terminally ill, and I always say, I know it's really sad for you guys to hear. I can give you all a minute to fucking make it about yourself if you need. And then I just
Yeah.
take the mic away and I just like let everybody sit in it. And I'm like,
Yes.
it's a rape. Like
Yeah. Like
seriously.
good for you.
Because it's like so many people just look at you and they immediately associate you with how it would make them feel. And especially, I don't know
Yes.
if you feel this way, but I see this a lot with the age of the audience member. Because if it's someone around our age, they come up and they can't imagine being sick.
Yes.
And then if it's someone when I do shows with like more like Gen X age, they're my mom's age, so they
Yeah.
can't imagine what my mom must be. That's the first thing they say, right? I can't
Yeah.
imagine what your mom must be going through. It's man, I can't imagine what your dad must be going through. So it's such like proof positive that we really all
Yes.
we take ourselves as the main character and we put ourselves into the story we just heard.
Absolutely.
Which as comics, you know, we're telling a story. Like we're
Yeah.
theoretically it's supposed to be a show and it's supposed to all be part of the whatever. So it's like, yeah, I want you to connect with what I'm saying, but it is kind of such a uniquely impressive skill. Like when
Yeah.
people can, sometimes I hear the mental gymnastics someone is going through. Like people come up to me after shows and they're drunk and they're crying and I just can't believe it. And then it's like, well, I have a niece and she has something, you know, and it's like,
Yes.
and I'm like, I'm so sorry that I ruined your, you know,
Yeah.
comedy experience. And they're like, you're just so, you know, brave and what, and they're all, the alcohol doesn't help, but
Yeah.
then you spend I'm now spending my time comforting.
Yes.
Are you okay? I'm so sorry. Can I get you some water? Right. So now I'm doing that because they're so upset about hearing the concept that
Yes.
I'm dying, you know?
Yes. I think a lot of times people forget, and I think the chronic illness community is aware of it because we live with it, is like we all are eventually gonna
Yes.
die.
Yep.
We just don't maybe have a timeline.
Yeah.
But also, like, I always have to remind people, I'm up here, I'm willing to talk about, like, if I didn't want you to laugh, I wouldn't be doing comedy. I wouldn't be up here. Like, it is totally fine if you laugh. I get a lot of people. I just did the JFL auditions, and this girl,
Wait, sorry, me too. Where did you do them?
I did them in LA.
Okay, great. Yeah, I did mine in New York.
Nice. How'd they go?
Pretty good. I thought awful, but I got a second call back. So
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats. I love
Oh,
seeing,
thank you. Yeah.
like,
Thank
I
you.
love seeing people who aren't white males get in to JFL.
It was still the majority of my audition was,
Yeah.
so I mean, we'll see how second round goes, see what the makeup is with people.
Yeah, you have to tell me how it goes. I'd love to
I
hear.
will. Yeah, I really will.
But I go up and I do my set, and I just did like a portion about chronic illness. And that night, like, I didn't have my cane with me. I don't know, I just wanted to go up. And then the girl after me goes up and she has all the same conditions I have, but she has a cane and she visibly shakes. I was like,
Yeah, right.
I was like, shit. Because then I just felt like a dick. Like, I don't look sick at all sometimes.
Yeah.
She also was so funny though, like, absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But I do think when you have more of a visible illness, then that's more to talk about too.
Yeah.
So,
and
and
it's like I feel the same way where I'm like, there's times where because I'm not always on oxygen. I'm on and
Yeah.
off. I'm usually it's half the year, but it's not cumulative.
Yes.
It's cumulative. It's not
like 6
6
months.
months, 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like I said I'm sick every few months. So then I'm
Yeah.
on oxygen and then for a while I'm on it afterwards. That I get better. I get a few weeks off, back on. And there's times where like I'll have things, especially being an actor, where people will be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we thought you'd have the tank. Like, can you wear it?
Can you go get it?
Because
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have very few, I don't know, convictions in life, but I will never, ever wear that oxygen tank when I do not need it because
Absolutely.
right. Because it's like the second that you do that, the second that you try to play it up in any way, even if it's just because somebody already expected you to, and it's for a contract, is the second that I think you lose all credibility, not just for yourself, but for so many other chronically ill people. Because I think it's not about if I look sick enough for you healthy people.
Yes.
It's about the fact that I'm trying to show you that regardless of how I look, I am still so fucking sick, you know?
Yes.
So I think it's actually very great and cool that because you felt like you could do it without it, that you did it without it. Because I think like obviously for the sake of the audition, you're at the optics or whatever, it is I'm sure frustrating.
I mean, I hate that I like think about like I'm gonna be compared to other people.
Yes, right. But I feel like for your own, like for what you stand for and like your own mission statement of this pod and everything and your brand, I feel like like I hope you can sleep well knowing like
yeah. No, I think I spent the first like 5 years of getting sick. I was like, I mean, like I didn't leave my house for like 3 years. I was like on the couch. I couldn't move without passing out. And so
oh my God.
I spent a couple years like I was at my highest weight, and so I still had my apartment in LA, and I was back home in Utah because I couldn't live alone at the time. And so like I didn't have any clothes in Utah, so I was like wearing my dad's sweats. I was in like a cat sweatshirt for like years. It was so bad. And then one day I was like I wanted to start. I lost some weight, and now I definitely feel like dressing a certain way like makes me mentally feel better, like if I actually get dressed. But there are days when I'm like, I don't think this doctor takes me as serious as if I was in here in sweatpants and no makeup and my hair. Like it sucks that even for doctors you have to be sick enough to get believed. It's and then they're like, really, you like your pain is at a 10, like you don't look like you're in pain. I'm like, yeah, because I've spent most of my life pretending to not be in pain.
Yeah, right. I'm a pro at it. And you're so right. Like I feel that way too, where my friend, people who know me very well know that the more dolled up I am, the more makeup I'm wearing, the sicker I'm feeling. Like my best friend, she and I host a lot of events together, and she'll always be, if I show up in like my usual, like like I'm usually wearing like a horror movie t-shirt and a skirt, that's usually my uniform, and like if I show up in like a dress, like full, not just eyes, but like full foundation and stuff, she's like, oh, you're deeply ill. She knows me so long, and I'm like, yeah, because she knows it means like my color is, I'm like blue underneath here, like and I'm trying to hide how it's like, the more effort I'm putting in, the more I'm completely putting on a persona, because I know if I show up looking the way I was without this look, everyone would be like giving me so much attention. I want to scream, you know,
Yes.
you just want to be left alone also when
Yeah.
someone's feeling well.
You want to be left alone. You also just want to be treated like a person.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yep.
Like, I
Novel
don't,
concept.
right? Like, I don't want to be told I'm brave for living with what I have. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
it's amazing to me that people who are like, I have a spinal cord stimulator. I have like really severe nerve damage, and so it helps with the pain.
Wow. Yeah.
And I get people all the time. They're like, oh, like, do you really have to charge yourself every couple days? And like, can I touch it? And it's like, sure. Like, if that makes you feel better, sure. It's like, it's right here. Go for
Yeah.
it. Like,
That's funny. Charge yourself. I like that.
yeah, it's great. This is something I didn't have on my bingo card for this year, but
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
but it's just so funny to me. I'm like, I'm not one, like I want to be treated normal, but two, it's like also something that I have to address, like in dating or in like
Yeah.
friendships. Like, no, I struggle with dating because I'm like, I'm a lot.
Yeah.
I
Oh my God.
100%. I come with a lot of work, and I am not going to be up for everything you want to do. I can't eat everywhere you want to eat. Like,
Yeah.
do you still like me? But
Yeah.
it's just
Oh my
like
God.
trying to live your life with this like asterisk all the time.
Yes. The the contingencies that come into it. And it's like, it's one thing I feel like if I was sick all the time, you know, like
Yes.
if I had something where like this was my day to day, every day, like obviously it would suck in so many other ways because I would be sick
Yeah.
all the time, but it would not be this back and forth where I am like completely, as soon as I feel better, I'm off the oxygen, you know, and
Yeah.
oxygen for people who listen, who don't know, like oxygen is a
Yeah.
prescription medication. So
Oh,
much
it
like
is?
being on an, yeah, so like much like being
I
on
didn't know that.
a antibiotic or something, I'm only
Yeah.
on it for the times that I need to be on it, and then it gets taken back. Like I don't just. I think a lot of people think I choose. It's up to my discretion when I'm on the oxygen. It's
Yeah.
not at all. It's up to my. I have to do medical tests. It's a numbers thing.
Oh gosh.
I think during COVID, people figured out like more about like what the pulse ox machine is, but like I do a
Yes.
larger scale version of that. Like I blow into this big machine, and
Mm.
so that's how it's decided when I'm on and off the oxygen. But so it's not like up to me necessarily. But it's like when I'm off of it, not only do I feel better because I was told I can get off it, so that means I'm doing better, but like I feel fucking free at last. You know, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm not carrying around this, I don't know, 4.5 pound backpack, which doesn't seem
Yeah.
like that much, but when you can't put it down,
Yes.
it's like pregnant women where it's like technically that it's just a little belly, but when it is on you 24/7 and I
Yes.
can't just put it down and walk away,
Yeah.
it messes with it's like I think one of the things I wish people understood more is like it makes, I'm sure you feel this way too with like your mobility. It's like it makes every single detail of your day harder.
Yes.
And maybe if it's not always like impossible, but it makes every single detail of your day 15% more inconvenient, and it
Mhm.
messes with my mood. Like it
Yeah.
really, and it so I there's times where like I'll just be getting so, and I think I have a really high tolerance for ever like flipping out because I'm
Yes.
so accustomed to being uncomfortable all the time. Whereas
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who I love, and you know, they would call themselves out on this too, but they get one inconvenience and it ends their day over it, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a true luxury, you know.
Yeah. Right.
But there's just times where I'm like, I when I'm dating and I'm like trying, you know, meeting people and having to explain like, hey, yes, I'm sick. There's times that I'm gonna be really sick, but it's also gonna be like it doesn't just affect like, oh, I'm like, you know, I always reference like A Walk to Remember, like that movie, how
Yes.
like she's like just like such the sweetest little angel. And like I make this
Yes.
joke on stage sometimes, but about how I'm like trying to be like a trailblazer for the fact to spread awareness for the fact that like sick people can also be bitches. Because I'm
Yes.
like I can, just because I'm sick doesn't make me like a martyr, you know?
Yes.
And like I think that movie is very interesting. When you're sick, I think it comes up a lot
Yeah.
for people. But like when I'm dating, I have to be like, look, it's not just that I can't breathe. It's like
Yeah.
it's little things like I'm on an oxygen tank, and like right now, I mean, you've seen me since we've been doing this. I have had to stop. I've had to mute
Yeah.
and blow my nose 15 times. When I'm on an oxygen tank, it's dripping into my tubing. Sorry to be gross. And
No.
I'm redoing it back in, so it is making me. And it's not. It's just enough that it is so fucking annoying. So then
Yeah.
I'm out there trying to do something normal, like have dinner with friends or go on a walk, and I'm at a 100
And
of.
especially because it's right here, I imagine it's like,
Yep, exactly. And
Yeah.
so then it's like, but then you don't want to freak out and make it anyone else's problem. There's so many times I have to just, I don't know if you feel this way, but like no amount of someone's help is what I want. I just need
Yeah.
to isolate myself and scream into a pillow briefly,
Mhm.
and then I can emerge back out and rally. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I just, when you started dating, though, it's so hard to explain. Like, yeah, it is my health, but if it were just my health, that'd be one thing. It's also
Yeah.
what it does to your head. Like, you're so
Oh.
irritable.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely like changes how I think about a lot of things. It changed kind of how I like live my life. But also I feel like no one talks about, because I feel like, and especially like on social media, you see a lot of chronically ill people, and I love them for this. But they're like, you can get better. Like there is hope, and like you will, and that's true. And I love spreading positivity.
Yes.
But I also think it's okay to be like, you know what? My chronic illness took this away from me. It changed my life. I have so many like training wheels on things that I can't do anymore
Yeah.
because I'm sick. And it sucks. And I don't want to be happy about it today. Like I like I do want to scream into a pillow, but I also really like to cry in a shower.
Yeah.
So
I
I
like that
just
we
sit
have
like
our own.
fully closed, like crying.
Yeah.
But it's like chronic illness completely changes your life.
In
And
every way, in the ways that
yeah,
like you could never predict,
yes.
and I think that's what I think, like when people say shit to me, like, like I have a podcast that I record every so often. We're on a hiatus right now, but it's called Dying Up Here, and it's with me and my good friend Jamie Pappas, who's another comedian, and her story is like she is not it's not illness related, but
Yeah.
her like when her mom was pregnant with her, or like her mom went downstairs one morning to wake up her dad who had fallen asleep on the couch, and he was just cold dead out of
Oh
nowhere.
my gosh. Wow.
And then after he had died, her mom found out she was pregnant with her. So like she with obviously his child, of course. And so like
Yeah.
her dad had passed away like before she had even come to this world. So she came into this huge world of like grief, right? So
Yes.
when she and I first met, we really connected right away because
Yeah.
she was the first person to in the comedy scene when I had sort of the pandemic had lifted and we all sort of gathered again to be like willing to mess around with me, which is so my love language.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
love being and so she was the first person to be like, she had to go on, actually, much like what you're saying, we were in a competition together. She had to go on after me. And she's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't know how to beat that. She goes, can I borrow your oxygen tank? Like when I go up there, and everyone in the green room was like, and I started crying. And of course we like became instant friends. And
Yes.
so she and I talk a lot on our podcast about like we always have like the, I can't imagine buzzer, like, because people
Yes.
say that all the time. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And it's like, for a long time, I used to handle that differently when people would say that, where I'd be like, no, I think you can, you just don't want to, but
Yeah.
then I realized more and more, like, I think you're right. I think you can't, because
Yeah.
when I'm asked like how it affects my day to day, I can't even, I'm like, just make me a list of everything I do day to day and I can tell you how it affects it. Like that would be
Yeah.
a shorter list, it's,
Yeah.
it affects like the little stuff, like going to a restaurant and the chairs don't have backs, or they have the backs that are rounded, so I can't hang my backpack on.
Mhm.
And they go, oh, well, we can check your bag, take your bag into the car rack. I'm like, no, you can't. I'm attached to it. It's
Yeah.
an oxygen, and it affects, stuff like the just trying to get ready, showering. And it's like, but what sucks is when people ask you that, they don't want the full answer because it's going to
No.
bum them out,
Yeah.
like
It's
they
yeah.
want
It's
a few little examples, and then
yeah.
they want to know that, like, but for the most part, you can spin it at the end to be like, but I'm okay because I'm a fighter,
Yes. Yes. I feel that. And I also feel like what you're saying of like people say I can't imagine that. Okay, so my aunt was paralyzed my whole life growing up.
Wow.
She fell out of a window and was paralyzed from the stomach down.
Oh my God.
And before I got sick and got nerve damage, I was like I knew it was hard, but I guess I kind of always in my mind was like, okay, but like if she just tried a little bit harder, like it would be fine. And then mine is like so small compared to hers. So I had a surgery and the nerve block damaged my nerves from my leg down. So I don't have feeling in my leg, and then in my foot I have this really rare nerve condition called CRPS. And basically like my body thinks that there's constant damage there, so it just keeps sending pain signals.
Yeah. Oh.
And I got it and I was like, oh, I'm like being a baby about this, and she can't do like it just made me realize, oh, I really couldn't understand it until I experienced like a fraction of it.
Yes.
It's like I don't know how to properly explain it to somebody because so I don't blame, like I'm not mad at people I don't blame people who are like, oh, I couldn't do it, but I'm also like, don't like it's sometimes it feels condescending of like, oh, I can't imagine, like
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I perform at colleges. I do like the college circuit as a
Yeah.
comic. And one of the like funniest parts of my job, other than all of doing comedy at colleges, is already like such a gold mine, right?
Yeah.
But, they a lot of schools will have the students fill out like a Google form after the show just to prove that they came, if it's orientation, whatever. And then they'll ask them for like feedback on the event, so the school knows if it was worth it. But then that turns into just feedback about me personally, and like they send it to me, and it's very funny because like just hearing what a room full of like sometimes upwards of 3,000 18-year-olds thinks about you is like the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the oxygen tank, they, first of all, the current college age kids are so fucking funny and dark, and I love it. They're so down with this stuff in a way that the older generation never is. But
Yeah.
I see so many, I always screenshot them because they're funny. But I see so many notes from them that are like, she was like very funny, like her, whatever, but her, very sad about the oxygen tank. Like they'll always say stuff like, I couldn't do it if I were her, or like there's one that I screenshotted that I always laugh at that was like, if I personally, I'd be in ruins if I were in her situation, and I'm like, I think what people kind of forget is like, but you would figure it out. Like you wouldn't, it's actually amazing what would happen if you just had to,
Yeah.
like,
Well, you just have to, I mean, I guess you could stay in bed all day, or you could find a nice ledge, but like,
right.
but like,
but you would find out really quickly, like, and I do think that there is some kind of, like you said, it's a little bit insulting in the way when you think darkly about it, because what they're saying is, if I were you, I'd kill myself. Like because it would be so sad. Or you know, sometimes I do hear it with, and I'm in LA a lot for work, obviously, as well. And,
Yeah.
and I work in show business. So I also meet some more, I would say vapid, or people who are pretty deeply insecure about, they really worry about their appearance, who
Yeah.
are absolutely aghast when they hear that, like, this girl in front of them being me that I'm taught, and then they find out that I have to be on an oxygen tank, and they're like, oh, so how do you, basically what they're asking is, how do you stay hot? Like, how do you, so how do you stay fuckable? Like, how do you get auditions? How do you stay the leading lady when
Oh my
you're
gosh.
sick? You know, and the answer is
Yeah.
like, and you know what? It's a fair question. The answer is, I do still stay hot somehow. I still
Yeah.
clean up regardless, but it is like,
Yeah.
when you know, like when people say that, they're just thinking about whatever part of it they think would, whatever part of our illness would ruin their life, which is whatever part
Yes.
of their life they care the most about. They're just like, you watch them, like you can see like the wheels turning in their eyes, you know, like when
Yeah.
you tell someone. That's why I literally do give air in the room, no pun intended,
Yeah. No.
after I say it on stage, because I'm like, when I say it and I try to barrel through to the next joke, I have learned, you know, audience reactions are data, right? And I've learned through the data that those jokes, no matter how good they are, don't get laughs because they aren't hearing what I'm saying. They
Yes.
like, and when I'm on the oxygen tank, they've already had a minute to realize something's up, right? Like,
Yeah.
she's pretty clearly sick. I'm sure you feel the same way with your cane. But when you just drop the bomb, it's like they're going through it, which is, you know, I kind of say condescendingly, because I'm just like, oh, you poor things, you had to hear about a
Yeah.
sick person. But it is like, if I, especially because I don't know where you, when you do your set and you're not on the cane,
Yeah.
how early you infuse it. But sometimes I wait a while. Like, I
Yeah.
let them get to know me in other ways. If I'm not on the tank, I don't have to address it right away. Sometimes I
Yeah.
can do it, you know, in my, like when I'm headlining, like in my hour, I can do it up to like 30 minutes in. I can wait to drop
Yes.
that bomb.
Yeah.
So now it does feel a little bit like they are sort of grieving, because it feels like we know each other, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, you just told us our friend is dying, you know. And so
Yes.
I do have some empathy for that. You know, I make fun of them lightly, but I do get it. But it is like, are you sad at our life because you think like, wow, what a shame the circumstances in the American healthcare system, like all the things I want you to be upset about? It's like, no, you're upset because you can't imagine being like you and I are, like young, like more conventionally attractive, funny women, like who theoretically have like everything going for them, and then
Yeah.
finding out like, oh my God, but God hates you.
Yes. In my set, I'm literally like, I do this joke where I'm like, I asked God to be thin, and he was like, when I got sick, I got all of a sudden got all these food allergies that were like
Oh
deathly.
no. Ugh.
And so I'm allergic to like all my favorite foods. I'm allergic to fruits and vegetables. Like,
Oh good, all your joy.
yeah. So I do this joke where I'm
Literally.
like, I asked God to lose weight, and he was like, here, you're allergic to fruits and vegetables. Like, you're a move, bitch. Like, because I do sometimes feel like God is like, I feel like I was made of spare parts a lot of the time.
Yes.
And I get a lot of people that kind of, I get like the gasp at doing jokes about being angry with God. And it's like partly my favorite part. I do feel like I typically introduce it later into my set. But it was also hard is like what I have is really difficult to explain. Like, not even a lot of doctors fully understand it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I can't spend a 30-minute TED talk explaining to you what I have.
Right.
So I
Like,
have to
on stage,
really,
we have very
yes.
limited time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to like condense, like I live with chronic illness, like my nervous system doesn't work. And then I have to like get into it and just sometimes hope that they like understand it. But it's made me kind of write jokes differently. I feel like I really try to make it as palatable as possible.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I wish I didn't have to, but
Oh my
especially
God,
in
right.
Utah, like I don't perform a lot in Utah, just because
Yeah.
it's a little hard.
I bet.
Or like, I mean, I did a joke about like losing weight, and they were like, "Oh, like you were fat." Like, I'm like,
That's
"Oh,
the
so I can't
saddest
even
thing,
like,
yeah.
yeah." I'm like, I can't do chronic illness, but
Yeah,
I
like, they're
also,
like, "But you're so pretty. There's no way you were ever
yeah,
overweight." Like, and you're like, "Oh
I
my
love
God."
to like, I did a joke when my highest weight was 220,
Okay.
and I would get on stage and I would make jokes about how I look and like, you know, because I'm fine. I don't care. I'm fine to do that. And people would be like, "That's so funny. Like, I'm so refreshing that you can like call yourself fat." And then I lost weight, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want to hear you talk about weight at all."
Yeah.
Like it's weird. And I had to go on the shot it's similar to Ozempic because of thyroid problems. I was like, diabetes runs in my family. I was like, my A1C was bad. I had to
Yeah.
obviously go on it to control it, but going on it, I lost a significant amount of weight. People are like, "You're so lucky. Like, I can't, my doctor won't prescribe it to me." I'm like,
You're so lucky, Ashley. Wow.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it was nice. Like, it's a
Yeah.
good side effect of it, but also, I basically feel like my insides don't work anymore, but
Yes.
like,
No, I mean, like, so a big issue with CF is weight. Like, people with cystic fibrosis are very underweight.
yeah,
And when I was a kid, I mean, I look at pictures like before they knew what I had, before I was diagnosed, and I wasn't
yeah,
diagnosed until I was 7. So like, that is a 7 years of being, you know,
yeah,
when I was born, I didn't leave the hospital for weeks. I was still so
wow,
sick. I just
yeah,
didn't know why. But when I look at pictures of me when I was, you know, walking, talking, running around, but I was sick and they just did not know what was wrong, I look like it's tough. Like, my mom said, like, people would like double take because I was so thin and it was like
yeah.
alarming. And I'm an adult now. I wasn't this height then, but I'm almost 5'10", so I'm like pretty tall for a
Okay, so
girl.
you're tall, yeah,
And so yeah, so like being thin already, like yeah, it's harder for me to, I can eat more and it isn't as obvious if I gain weight. But
Yes.
when I'm sick, I lose weight so quickly. But I'm sick every 3 months. So I have like my closet, I have like the same outfits in different sizes. Like I have
Yes.
like sick and healthy, whatever, and sort of the in between. But during 2020, in 2020, I got COVID as well.
Oh shoot.
And
Yeah.
it was really bad. I remember everyone in my life being like, well, that's it. Like, I remember my
Like,
boyfriend at the time dropping me off, like thinking like he would never see me again, kind of thing,
yeah.
because everyone knew if Kier gets COVID, it's fucking curtains. And turns out the symptoms of COVID are nearly identical to the symptoms of cystic fibrosis. So while it was
Interesting.
awful, it was pretty much exactly par for the course of what I do when I'm
Yeah.
I'm the feeling like you're drowning in your all of that, whatever. But my biggest side effect that was new to me was like I don't know if you got this, but the nausea and the vomiting was so
Yes.
awful for me. So when I got COVID, I went in the hospital. I was in the hospital for maybe 2 weeks, and I lost, maybe not in the full 2 weeks, but I lost about 40 pounds by the time I
Oh
was
gosh.
fully fit.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
again, I'm almost 5'10", so like it's not as
Yeah. So that's a
obvious like when I lose weight because I'm
yeah.
taller, so it's
But that's
spread
still a
out.
lot of weight to lose.
Yes, and it was crazy the way that people talked to me about it, being like, "Oh my gosh, you look a girl, like, whatever, you look okay, skinny, like whatever." And like
Yeah.
obviously working in show business doesn't help with having people who talk like
For
that,
sure.
but around you. But hearing people be like, I remember once I was in American Eagle, I had to buy all new jeans. I was talking to the girls and they were like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much." I was like, I don't, I had COVID. I can't fit any of my clothes anymore. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
And the one
It is
girl,
expensive to
right?
fluctuate weight. It
Oh
is.
my God,
I'm like,
especially
I don't have the money
bras.
for this.
Yes, bras
Yeah.
are
I used to have
crazy.
boobs. I don't have any.
Same. Oh my
I have
God.
none.
I'm an A cup, or almost, I guess I'm almost a B cup now. I used to be like, my boobs used to be like my thing. Like I was like
Yeah.
known for how good it sucks. But I was in American Eagle and I said what was the situation. I was talking to the girls and chatting, and I said like, "Oh, well, I just got over, I had COVID and I lost 40 pounds." Or I said I lost 40 pounds. She goes, "How? I got COVID." And one girl from the other room goes, "Oh, lucky." She goes, "I wish I had COVID." And I said, "It is 2020. I would be quiet about that." No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Like, and don't.
Yeah.
No.
And it's like,
Yeah.
even when I'm just in the hospital and I come out and I'm a very different weight than when I went in, it's not to
Yeah.
that extent, but it's usually about 10 pounds either way. And people will be like, "You look amazing." I'm like, "Thanks, my hair's falling out." I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
in a
Like,
cute
it's
way. I
not.
don't feel strong and glowing. I
Yeah.
feel like emaciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And weirdly, I've always been more on the heavy side in my life.
Right.
Now I know it's because like I have all these conditions and my body
Yeah.
was like holding on to weight. I had this really rare disease called malls, and basically it's like your diaphragm is smushing, like squishes the nerves that tell your stomach how to digest. So
Wow.
they were all dead. So they go in and they like clear them all out. And typically you're like super thin if you have it, but I was super heavy. And they were like, "How did you do it?" And I was like, "I'm just used to the pain. Like I just ate
Yeah.
through it. Like I don't
Oh my
quit,
God.
you know?"
Right.
And they're like, "How?" And it was just this funny thing of like, "Oh, how could you look like that and have this?" And I also find now, I would say the first half of trying to get diagnosed, they were like, "Well, if you just lose weight and go on like anxiety medication, you'll be fine." And then I lost the weight and they're like, "Oh, maybe you actually do have something." And it's just
Uh-huh.
this funny, like, that's the first thing people see. And that's like, "Oh, if you just lose it, like your sickness will go away, you're fine."
I have heard, I mean, I see that a lot. I'm sure you do too on the internet when somebody, like when women talk about what it's like to go to the doctor, where no matter
Oh
what,
yeah.
it's like, "Oh, have you considered losing," like, no matter what your problem is, you could have a broken arm and they're like, "Have you
Yes.
considered that it's because you're fat?"
Yeah. I went into I have these if I have really bad episodes, I clench really hard and I've like stretched my wrist and I went in, they were like, I think you just like need to up your anxiety medication. And I was like, in my wrist?
Yeah, right.
Like, when did this become anxious? It was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's exhausting trying to just like live,
Oh my God.
basically.
Yeah. And I do like also, whenever because like I think what's cool about what we do, being comics and podcasts, like having a bit of a platform, like, and it's a cool thing. It's also a bit of a responsibility of like, like you want to whatever. And it's like, I would be remiss if we had this conversation and didn't say like also how much it sucks to be sick in America. And like,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely.
And like, I don't know if you have like marketplace insurance or Medicaid. I'm a Medicaid user. Medicaid is like what single-handedly keeps me alive,
Yeah, I have marketplace.
yeah. And it really sucks. I feel like, because I don't do any political jokes. I wouldn't say I'm not political. I mean, I'm a human being, so whatever. I'm a sick
Yeah.
person. I guess you are in a way, but I'm not someone who like goes out of my way to like, my platform has nothing to do with politics. I don't
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
politics on stage, but it's very interesting how much I feel like we get politicized as human
Yes.
beings. Like your
Absolutely.
existence is political,
Yeah.
and yeah, I notice it a lot because I perform from Atlantic City, New Jersey a lot, which is like,
Mm.
I don't know how much of a reputation it has out there, but it's like, home of like all of our casinos, and it's a very,
Yeah, yeah.
it's where like Boardwalk Empire takes place, the show. So
Okay.
it's, yeah, like
Yeah.
very old, moonshining, crazy town, and
Yeah.
it's our Vegas. And so like in Atlantic City, the people who on weekends it's people who are visiting and whatever, but on weekdays it's just people who live there, and it's a very
Yeah.
different
Mhm.
vibe. And I get this a lot where like the people who come up to me after shows are people who are like trying to trying to start conversations with me about politics, about my health, And that's like I will say, like, of all the things people come up to me and talk to me about after shows, that I will often make fun of the next day on stage because it's always funny. But like that is probably my least favorite aspect of it, of like people, it's half people wanting to use me for their agenda. Like, oh, I would love to, basically like take pictures of you and see how sick this girl is kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
the other half of people just being like, well, don't you hate that the left is doing blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I can't express how much it, regardless of what you think about it or what anyone thinks about it politically, it's like I just want to live. Like, and
Yes.
it is so endlessly frustrating to me how often people use what I'm going through as, or when I bring up my issues and I say like how hard it is because of whatever, how people start to think like that I'm getting into politics by mentioning that I'm sick, which
Yes.
is like very funny in itself, that that's where we go, where I'm like,
Yeah.
the fact of me saying I'm a sick person is like, here we go. And it's like, I just want to wake up tomorrow,
Yeah, like I just want to get through my day.
Yeah, and not go bankrupt,
Yes.
Like,
I
so
so
expensive to be sick.
technically, I mean, like, I guess I'm technically considered a long COVID patient,
Yeah,
but I can't say that in Utah. Like, I could not bring that up.
that's oh my God. Wait,
in
I didn't even
Utah.
think about the COVID aspect of the
Yeah.
politics.
So in Utah, like, I never say I have long COVID because well, COVID wasn't real. I got it. Like, I get a lot. I had someone message me recently and they were like, hey, can I ask you a long COVID question? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they were, they were like, I can't taste oranges anymore. Do you have any suggestions for what to do? And I was like, yeah, I can't get up anymore without fainting. Like, I can't shower alone.
Yeah.
Can't help you there.
Uh-huh.
And it gets really like, oh, I had it, like it's not a big deal. Weirdly though, there's a lot of why I spend half my time in Utah is because they're studying long COVID there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So there's a lot of doctors who actually specialize in the stuff I have. But like in California, yeah, in California, like in LA, I can say it's long COVID, but I agree with you. Like if my healthcare went away, I would die. Like
Yeah,
I'm
tomorrow.
on 23 medications. I have shots I have to take every month. Like
Yep.
I don't have the option of not having insurance.
Yeah.
And I was just in Europe actually, and they were like, well, how do you live? I'm like, they were so
Barely.
baffled by like how, but the weird thing is like I have to worry about being able to get the care I need for a condition I didn't ask for.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not like I smoked and like did something, knew
Yep.
the risks, but
Yep.
it's like I didn't ask for this. I did nothing wrong except for get COVID, which by the way should have been regulated harder.
Yes.
But
Yeah. No, you're so right.
it's like, so now I have to decide if I can do this or if I can have the medication I need.
Right. And I have that being on Medicaid is I mean, as a absolute, when I say lifesaver, I literally mean like it's the reason I'm still alive, and the
Absolutely,
reason I
yeah.
even do comedy to do anything is
Yeah.
on Medicaid. But because
People
I'm
don't think about people like us or like you being on it when they think about it. They think about like all the negative things that come to mind when it really does sometimes save lives.
Yeah, and also the majority of people, over 50% of people who are on Medicaid are children who are on the in every state has like their state program. I was one of those kids because I needed like supplemental insurance, and
Absolutely.
it is so expensive to be sick all the time, and it's not even just the medical insurance side of it. Obviously, just the day to day, like the things that we need, like when I can't cook, like when I like need to, and not that I hardly ever do this, but like when I need to like order food or when I need to like get groceries delivered or whatever, like people don't think about like all the expenses that go into that, but then let alone the actual expenses of staying alive is insane. And I'm very lucky that I'm on Medicaid, but every year, I mean, it's coming up soon where I have to every year make sure that my tax, everything is exactly in order, because if I were to lose my Medicaid, like, I think a lot of people seem to think, well, when we're kicking people off, we're kicking off the whatever example that they want to live, we're kicking off the people who are abusing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people seem to think that like, well, someone like you, Kirsten, would never be with that. Like there's fail safes in place, and it's like, no, it's like, what happens if I lose my insurance? I die. That's it. I die.
Yes.
Like that's the fail safe. I don't know what else to tell you. And I had a lapse in my insurance last year, and it was only it was maybe 2-3 weeks. It wasn't even a month. But I just remember, because I have a port in my chest, like a central line for IVs and stuff. So which I use a lot, but every month it has to get flushed because it's a central line. It can clot every month for the rest of my life, and they just wouldn't come out and flush it because of that. And I was like, so then what happens? Like, I just die because I'm not getting like the maintenance care, because they're like, well, we can only do emergency. And like, at what point is that an emergency? And then I'm like, thank God I wasn't sick in those 3 weeks, because I don't even know what would have happened. But it is a very like the hoops we have to jump through.
Yes.
And I'm sure that if we added up like the amount of times between pharmacies and doctors and health insurance that you and I have been on a hold, like listening to hold music on a phone, I'm sure we
And then they're like,
it would add
if
up
I,
to years. Right.
yeah, if I hear your call is very important to us
Oh my
one more time, I literally might throw the phone through a window.
Literally, yes. Please wait. Oh my God. And it's like that kind of stuff. People don't think about how much time out of your day that takes. Like all
Yeah.
those little things you have to do to be like, oh man,
Yes.
they won't fill this medicine because I need the pre-auth and I have to call the this
Yes.
and this.
Or like just even like doctor's appointments. I spend half my day, like half
Yes.
my week is filled with doctors.
Yes. And I'm not getting
It's
paid for that. I'm not getting.
no,
Thank God I
especially
have a
like with
job where I can
comedy,
plan
because like
schedule. Yes,
yeah,
right.
but it's not like, I mean, I'm not like rolling in money from my
Yeah.
comedy. Like
Right.
it's like it's also like I love when doctors are like, okay, I need this is the medicine you need, but you can't get it until you fail these 3 medicines for
Yes.
insurance. So take them
Yeah.
and then call me with the side effects. And I'm like, great, like love
Right.
that for me.
Thank you. And that takes so long because it's like, well, you have
Yes.
to wait 3 weeks to find out how it's gonna work and all this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we could already just be better by now, but
Yeah.
we can't.
No, you have to fail. You have to prove you're sick enough to get the
Yep.
medication you need to not be that sick.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's the same with the transplant list where it's like, like when you're on a like people, oh, you're gonna get a lung transplant. I'm like, I likely will one day if I make it to that point. But when you're on a transplant list, people seem to I didn't realize how often people ask me that so much, and it made me realize that people's idea of what a transplant list is very skewed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, to be even considered for the transplant list, you have to be so sick.
Yeah.
And then when you get on the list, you have to wait sometimes years. So like
Yeah.
you be sick enough, but if you're that sick, you likely won't make it
Yeah.
to get the transplant,
Yeah.
And every year the criteria for how sick that is and how sick it feels like for everything, how sick you have to
Yeah.
be goes up and up. And
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like because of people like you and I who are so accustomed to gritting and bearing it, like just being like, okay, I'll just push through this. But the more that we push through, the more they think, well, see, people can push through.
Yeah.
And it's like, I
It's
never know what my responsibility is here, but I just,
yes.
other than screaming at the pillow or showering and crying.
Yeah. Like it's happened to me that's like that level is like I have a hole in my heart.
Yeah.
And it's really common. But it contributes to a lot of my symptoms because
Yeah.
it's there. And I was like, well, like what do I have to do to get it patched? And they're like, you have to have 2 strokes. It's like, yeah.
Let me go do that real quick.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Can I? And I was like, how? Like by then they're like, probably you'll die, but like you
Yeah.
could fix it then. I'm like, what's the point? Like
Yep.
if I've stroked out twice,
That's so funny.
I don't even need it.
And honestly, that's again, like we said earlier, I kind of love when people are so blatant like that. Like
Yeah.
when someone is blunt enough to be like, get sicker. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I actually respect it because it's the same thing the other doctors say, but they beat around, they try to sugarcoat it so they
Yes.
can feel better about it.
Yes.
And they use this like corporate lingo. And I'm like, just say,
Yeah.
look me in the eye and tell me to have 2 strokes. I dare you.
Yes. Right. It's like when you get a report back from like a scan and it's like medical word, and then it's like cancer. And you're like, what was the point of these? Because
Right.
I don't understand. I love when doctors, my favorite thing is when they don't want to call you fat. So they're like, you're big boned, or like, we don't all get to eat what we want to. And it's like, just say it to me. Because it is what it is.
Say it to my face. And
Yeah.
it's also like, if people think, like whenever people beat around the bush with stuff, like even just like, when you're out on the street and like, you have a medical device in any way, like when people beat around the bush or they don't want to ask, like, one thing I really like about working in show business specifically is how blunt people are. Like, when
Yeah.
I have any like very famous person I've met or been around, they immediately, if I'm wearing oxygen, they immediately ask. And I
Yeah.
honestly, I know it's just because they live in such a different fucking stratosphere than we do. Right? Like
Yes.
they can talk to people like that. But sometimes it's really nice because so often, I'm sure you see this a lot where people are talking to you and they can't stop looking down at the cane.
Yes.
And for me, they can't stop looking at my upper
Like right
lip,
here.
below my nose. I'm like, my eyes are up here, like,
Yeah.
but sometimes I will just be like, I feel like you're curious about my oxygen tank. I can just explain it.
Yeah.
But I just so would rather they just act like we can just, the conversation can move forward once we all just know what's going on.
Yeah.
And people
Especially
who
with
know me-
kids.
Right. Yes. People who
Like if
know
we
me
just
know.
explained it, like I think we're taught, oh, just don't look. And it
Yes.
makes it almost this weirder issue. When if you really were just like, actually, this is what it is. I have it. Like
Yep.
now we can move on. But
I do a joke about it, that on stage about like how I used to be a server. I used to work in
Yeah.
restaurants. I used to be a server, and then I was the manager. And like when I was a server, like how when people have kids, especially if you have like a 3, 4, 5-year-old, they are such wild card. They say the craziest shit.
Yeah.
So like when you're a parent of a kid that age, all you hope is that like when you leave the house that day, like the kid doesn't see anything they haven't seen before. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the look, the panic in a parent's face when they see that a girl in her 20s, is walking over and I'm on an oxygen tank in a backpack, and
Yeah.
they're sitting next to this fucking like ticking bomb that is a
Yes.
3-year-old, right?
Yes.
And I would hear them do this a lot, where they would do this like what I would call like, I used to call like pre-shift, where they would like they would be like, all right, our server's gonna come over soon. Here's some words we're not gonna say. Backpack,
Yes.
tube, nose, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then I go over and immediately the kid now has to say that. Like they're like,
Yeah. He's like,
right. So
yeah.
I'm just like, I can't even get through the specials without the kid being like, what's in your nose? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I am so glad you asked, because I think the parents doing that, I know they mean it in good, they mean it kindly. And I know not everybody is as open as of talking about
Yeah.
it. You and I, there are people who would not want to talk about it, but
Yeah.
it's like, I really appreciate kids' ability, kids and old people. and rich people, I guess, the ability to not give a fuck and just clear the air. Cause then I can be like, thank you for asking. Cause now I can tell everyone who was curious, you know?
Yes. Yes. And it's people, there's like a very fine line where I'm like, I don't want to be known as just like this. I mean, I probably shot myself in the foot because I called my page sick girl, but
Yeah, right.
like,
But you're on it.
I mean, really, that's because when I was a kid, I was really sick and kids at school called me sick girl. And I was like, I'll just take it. I'm going to run with it.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't want to be known as like the sick, chronically ill comedian, but at the same time, I'm like, it's such a part of my life that I can't really like separate it from situations because I view things so differently because I have these problems.
Yep.
That it's like, I can't be like, oh, how would a normal person think about this? Like,
yeah, it infuses into every,
yes.
like there's not one part of my life day to day where like, and I find that with my joke writing too, where, you know, plenty of, you know, I do an hour. I would say about 13 minutes of my hour is about my disease, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear people say stuff like, and it's not like I hear this often or it's not a critique, but I hear like playfully kind of ribbing at me of like, oh, the girl who only does the jokes about how she's sick, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, statistically, I'm telling you 13 minutes of 60 are that. So
Yes.
it's really not. But also a lot of my other jokes that have to do with other things, stories, unrelated, there is little details about how I'm sick because it's like there's in the same way that like the same people who critique me for that are like a dad and that's every joke they do has to do with that, or a dude just talking about how he has a dick and jerks off all the time, and like that's every joke, and it's like you have blank thing and you talk about it infinitely more than I do, you know, and it's like
it's just because mine is different,
right? And it's definitely like I totally get it if you sit through my hour and even though 13 minutes of it is about me being sick, I can see why that would be the part you would remember the most and take away because it's
totally
unique. But it is like every little thing that I talk about, you know, I talk about, you know, working in restaurants that comes up because it is a part of every minute of my every day. Like, it's not just like I'm adding it in. It's like, I mean, it's literally in my DNA, you know? So it's kind of like people say, I hear that a lot with like my comics who are Black comedians, right? Where they're like, oh, well, every joke I've been Black. It's like, it is infused into every single ounce of your entire life.
Yeah. It's how you view the world now.
Right. And it's
how through it.
You. And so, and therefore it's really tough to not acknowledge that. And I honestly, I used to try very hard to like, if I wasn't doing the jokes about the disease, I would not bring it up. I wanted the ability to have jokes where I don't have to talk about my disease on stage. And there's plenty of times I don't. When I'm off the oxygen, I can do a set and not bring it up, right? But it's like, it's about like your lens of the world. It's not so much like it's not like a thing you're carrying with you. It's like you put on different glasses and like now this is how you see everything and how everyone sees you. Yes. And so it's hard to not acknowledge, like, of course I'm being treated differently. Every single minute of every day, people look at me and you know, I never, when you're sick and you walk around, especially when you're young, right? Yeah. You have a medical device. No one's ever looked at me once. Like, it's always a double take, you know, because it's like, and it's not like they're being rude. It's jarring. It's not what you expect to see. And so it's like to expect people to not joke about that on stage. It's like, that's what comedy is. Like, we're supposed to be taking our life, and even if we're talking about things that don't have to do with us personally, it's all through our lens. That's what your life and your persona is. And so I think it is really important that we do that, you know. Totally.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times I'm like, because when I don't have my cane, like, I mean, you can see I have a slight limp, like you can see like scars on my body from previous surgeries and stuff, and like but I do, for a long time I was like, well, if I don't look sick, I don't want to talk about being sick, but I'm like, I kind of can't undo it anymore, you know. And I also, like, I had a shift because before I wasn't as sick, and then I got COVID and I got really sick, and so now I have people who are like, you didn't used to talk about it, or like you used to, especially with stand-up, I get like, well, why can't you stay late after the show? And I'm like, if I don't stick to my routine, I won't be able to do anything for a week. And so I'm like, I feel like I almost get like I'm not working as hard, or I'm not trying as hard as other comics, or I'm not social enough. But it's like, the set was what I was able to do, and I cannot give any more today.
Yes, and it is so much labor. Like, it's crazy what tires you out. Like, it.
Yeah, if I have a show, I don't do anything the whole day.
Oh my God, right. And still, it's like, and I think that's what has been really tough, like, of the business side of comedy is like, you know, having to do this sort of full-time job of planning my tour, like doing to even be on stage, I have to have set up that gig. I have to have written those jokes, done all that stuff, right? And so those are like luckily stuff we can do from our computer at home. Or
but it's still hard.
Oh my God, and like I think one of my most like vindication kind of moments, because honestly, when COVID happened, because my entire life had been very much a lot of the symptoms of COVID.
Yeah.
While it was obviously, I would not wish it on anybody I've ever met, but it was very nice to see people finally understand a piece of what I've been getting shit for so many years.
Absolutely.
And the main one was because I've always gotten, I mean, it's like, I say gotten shit. It's playful for the most part, but it has been a joke amongst everyone I've ever met forever is like how much I sleep. No amount of sleep is too much sleep. If I did not set an alarm, I could feasibly sleep for 20 hours without waking up. It doesn't matter, right? And I take sometimes multiple naps a day, whatever. My
Yeah.
friends are like, oh my God, here, wake the fuck up. We have to go somewhere. You're napping again, whatever.
Yeah.
And, or like, it's, you know, I'll text my group chat because I miss it. It's like 2 p.m. I just woke up. They're like,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of day. And
Yeah.
then,
Or like, you're so lucky you get to nap.
right. And I'm like, oh yes, this is such,
Yeah.
such a blessing. Right. And when COVID happened and everybody got a taste of how having low lung function and low
Yes.
oxygen levels makes you tired, the hypoxia, all
Absolutely.
of a sudden, I literally got texts from people being like, who got COVID, being like, I had no idea. Like, I literally, like, because it was the thing, you got COVID, you slept all day, you couldn't wake up, like, it was so
Yeah.
tough, like, you know, and I was like, yeah, it's almost like, and it's not like I expect people to know, but what I expect you to know is like, I want you to know what you don't know. Like, if
Yeah.
you don't know, don't have such a hard opinion on it. Like,
Right.
maybe you just can't really wrap your mind around what it would be like to feel that way because you've never felt it before.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to, but I'm glad, you know, it was kind of nice to see that.
Yeah. But it's nice to be like, okay, maybe finally you understand a piece of what I go through every day.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
And
just,
same with the lung, like you know, the people for the first time in their life getting lung infections like that.
Yes.
And not being able to lay down flat because they're drowning in their fluid.
yes.
All of that. And it was
Yeah.
like very like, wow. I felt very like, well.
Yes. Right. I know. I'm gonna have this come out next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's see. So I have, I would say, the biggest thing that anyone can ever do for any comedian is to follow us on Instagram. It costs
Yes.
me $0 to do it, and it makes a world of difference in our success. Instagram for
Yes.
comedians is like LinkedIn for everybody else.
Yes.
So my Instagram is Kier Comedy, KIR Comedy. And if you can follow me there, it makes a huge difference. And yeah, let's see. I have some. I'm sure you have listeners from all around. I have some headlining shows
Cool.
coming up.
Yeah. Tell us where
I'm
they
going to
are.
be I'm going to be posting about all of them actually very soon, but I will say I'm going to be at Church of Satire in Pennsylvania on June 13th. And I'm going to be at the Sunken Bus Studio in Pittsburgh on July 26th and 7th. I'm doing a weekend there. Yeah, but just follow on Instagram and be nice to your local sick people. They're going through it.
I know. I always like to ask, is there anything you wish, like, if you could leave someone with like one piece of something you wish they understood, kind of what would it be? What's your thing?
Yeah. Let's see. I think I wish that people could understand how, yeah, I'll just echo what I said a minute ago. I wish people could understand that, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
There's so many things that might, when you hear them, seem ridiculous, or who is this for? Why, you know, whatever, like whatever it is that you feel like you have a hard opinion on. And I just like, you know, the way that we treat each other is everything. And
Yeah.
I think approaching things by giving people something as little as like the benefit of the doubt, I think can
Yes.
change so many people's mindsets. You never know what someone else is going through. And I think when people hear that, I think everyone knows that fact, but a lot of people think there's like this lexicon of possibilities, but there's things even past what you even know are possible because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I always just urge people to treat each other with kindness and respect, and giving people the benefit, approaching things assuming that people mean well, because I think most people are good.
Yeah.
And I think it goes a long way to do the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. This is so random, but I thought that like keeps me up at night sometimes, and this makes me sound very stupid, is how do they get the oxygen in the tank?
Okay, I can tell you because
Like,
I actually have a tank filler at home.
endlessly, I'm like, do they breathe? Like, I know I sound like a complete idiot, and I did go to school, but I just, how do they get it in there?
So I have a tank. It's funny you ask. So when I'm on oxygen, because either the company can keep coming every few days and refilling and giving me more
Yeah.
full tanks, or because I'm on it so frequently, I have a tank, a filler. I do it at home. Have you ever
Okay.
been to like party
It's like a
kitchens?
helium,
Exactly, like how they fill up balloons.
Oh,
So I
okay.
literally put the tank on a machine, and there's a little like pinhole
like a
on the
nozzle.
side,
Okay.
and it just goes on. It fills the tank. I watch the thing go up, and then it's like charging your phone basically.
That's amazing.
And it takes air from the room, like regular air, and it dilutes it into pure oxygen. Yeah.
You just like, my
Blew my
brain
mind too.
feels calm for the first time in years. Oh
I'm
my
glad I
gosh.
could help.
Thank you so much for that. Truly.
You got it.
But seriously, thank you so much for talking to me and being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
This was great. I'm really glad that we got to talk. I was really excited when I got sent this offer, because this was like, I do a lot of podcast interviews, but I never get to talk. It's usually regular healthy people being like, what's it like? So I love
Yeah.
having conversations like this, because you're awesome. You're such a badass, and
Oh, thank you.
wish
You
you
too.
so much success. And I hope we
Same.
cross paths.